this is Jess from makeandocrew.com, and in this tutorial we're going to learn how to do the waistcoat stitch, which is what I used in this morning mittens pattern, as well as this everyday knit beanie. And you can see that in both of these cases, the waistcoat stitch is very close to the look of knitting, even though it's made with crochet. So to practice the waistcoat stitch, we're going to be using Lion brand Vanna's Choice and a size L hook. And if you notice that Vanna's Choice is a medium weight yarn, category 4, and normally a size J hook is recommended with this. But one of the things you'll learn about the waistcoat stitch is that you're always going to want to use a bigger hook than you normally would with the yarn in order to make your stitches loose enough to work through. And you'll see what I mean in just a minute. So one of the things I really like about the waistcoat stitch is that it's just a variation on single crochet. So you can work any number of chains. In this case, I worked somewhere about 12 here, and I'm going to slip stitch to the beginning of this chain in order to join into a circle, and then we'll be able to work in the round. And in my experience, the waistcoat stitch, it just looks more like knitting in the round. When it's worked flat, it doesn't quite have the same effect. So we're going to practice in the round. And I'm going to chain one at the beginning of this round. You can work in a spiral where you just single crochet all the way around. You're not using any chain one, or you can chain one at the beginning and then slip stitch to join at the end. And that's what we're going to do here so that we can practice making the join look as invisible as possible. So to begin with the waistcoat stitch, we're just going to single crochet in each chain all the way around. So I finished single crocheting all around and I'm back to the chain that began the round. So I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet, and I'm going to pull that slip stitch fairly tight so that it becomes as invisible as possible right here. And at the beginning of the next round, I'm going to single crochet all the way around. I'm just going to do it in a slightly different spot. So I'll begin with a chain one, and instead of working in the normal single crochet place, which would be right underneath this V right here, and placing your hook right here, we're going to instead work into the posts of the single crochet. So that's these two little lines right here. And by doing so, that's what's going to create that knit look. So I'm going to insert my hook right in between those. Sometimes it's helpful to keep your middle finger right there to kind of create some leverage with your hook. But then I'll just yarn over and complete a single crochet. So let's try that again. Here's the top of the single crochet where I would normally work under right here. And instead I'm going to work into these posts right here and go through there, pick up my yarn, and complete the single crochet. Now, one of the most important things to do when you're working the waistcoat stitch is to pull that yarn up just a little bit like this so that this becomes a looser loop. And the reason why is that that's exactly where your hook's going to go in between on the next round. So if it's too tight, it's just impossible to get your hook in there. So I learned this sort of the hard way of struggling with this for a few years. But now if I just tip my hook up like that, it creates a nice loose stitch without being too loose on the top. So I'm just continuing around this round in single crochet. It's no different than single crochet except for where I'm inserting my hook. We're going to just slip stitch into the first single crochet. In this case, I'm not working in the middle, I'm working just like I normally would into a single crochet, which is underneath here. I'm pulling to slip stitch, and I'm tucking that in pretty tight. So I've joined the round, and from here I can chain one, and then I'll just continue working in between these posts for the entire round. So as you can see here, after we've completed a few rounds, we're starting to get that look of V's nestled within V's, which is quite similar to knitting. And if you're interested in what that slip stitch join looks like after several rounds, that's what I used in this mitten here. And you can see it's fairly inconspicuous as long as you pull the slip stitch pretty tight on each round. I hope you love this simple stitch as much as I do, and you can get these and other free patterns on makeandocrew.com. Thanks for watching and happy crocheting!